A lot of you have been wondering if the A's are a serious franchise. Maybe, maybe not. I don't think I'm personally in a position to weigh in on that, but I can tell you one thing. We're a serious podcast, and it's time to get serious about the A's.
Hey everyone, welcome to the inaugural episode of Funnyball with Will and Trevor. I'm Will, and this is Trevor. So we're two guys watching the Oakland A's for the very first time, starting with this upcoming season. We're not here to punch down on the A's. That sort of thing is safe for teams like the Rockies, the White Sox, and the Angels, all of whom will definitely finish worse than the A's this year. Yeah, boo, hiss. We're actually here to get serious about the A's, starting right now. So, Trevor, where do you want to start?
You just want to go around the horn?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
All right.
So, catcher.
Catcher?
Yeah, catcher.
Yeah, reasonable place to start. All
Absolutely.
right.
A lot to talk about there.
Yeah, exactly. So we know who the starting catcher is. Shea Langoliers, starting catcher from last year. Obviously, anyone that watches Shea Langoliers play knows he's a power guy. A lot of strikeouts, not a whole lot of walks. And most importantly here, and kind of what I want to focus on, like as a projection for next year, would be can he improve his defense, like at all?
Absolutely.
Because I mean, he can gun runners out, and I know his arm strength is just high percentage across MLB. But like the real question is like, can he frame pitches a little bit better? Can he block a little bit better? And most importantly too, can he just like have better rhythm with the starting rotation and all pitchers for that for that on that point, because it just seemed like they were never really on the same page, and that probably didn't help certain guys with their struggles last year, even though of course it wasn't really a talented pitching staff already. So that's my big thing with Langoliers is can he just improve in those defensive metrics? And I do think that as long as he's out there and playing, the power is at least going to be a baseline of last year, which is not a bad thing as a catcher.
No, absolutely. I mean, the guy has, I think he's got a really solid floor as a catcher, and I think he's definitely going to have a longer leash than most catchers with, I guess, the kind of season that he had. Not that he even had that bad of a season, but there's actually an interesting stat that I saw. So the A's actually led the league in caught stealing percentage at 31%, which was higher than teams like the Orioles, where you have a guy who is known for being like a very high caliber catcher like Adley Rutschman. But
Yeah.
I mean, I have to think that Langoliers still had a good amount to do with that, even though like I know there's some defensive metrics that he needs to improve in, as well as staring down his four seam fastballs. But I
Right.
mean, you always wish the strikeouts were less. But I mean, for a guy who was still really just starting out with his career, like the power is really exciting. The homers, the barrel percentage, exit velocity, it's legit. I mean, it's really nice stuff, and I think he's a guy that could easily see a jump, even a big jump in his home run numbers. Um, I think
It's the hope, right? I mean,
yeah,
anyone that shows 22 home runs as a catcher as a rookie, and not an old rookie either, for that matter. I mean, high pedigree guy, high draft pick earlier on.
yeah,
Um, but on the point that you were mentioning about, highest cost stolen percentage, I mean, it helps to have a large sample size. These
absolutely.
were, putting a lot of people on the bases last year, but we'll see. I mean, it's weirdly a catcher's paradise in a weird way if you're pretty good at gunning out runners to just always have him on base. It's like the just most like sliver of a silver lining you can get from having a pretty rough pitching staff
Yeah,
is that if you're a guy that guns down runners, you're gonna get a lot of opportunities and probably a lot of love for doing it. But yeah, the big thing, we know he can do that. Can he frame pitches better? Which is a big thing. It was all the wave a few years ago was the sabermetrics with pitch framing, and Jose Trevino from the Yankees wins the Platinum Glove pretty much because of his pitch framing. So that's just my main thing with him. And of course, I'll kick it to you to talk a little bit about Soderstrom if you'd like. But of course, we got him waiting in the wings, in AAA to start the year.
yeah. So I mean, it's. I think at the time it actually was a bit of a surprising move seeing him get optioned to Vegas, especially like with a couple weeks to go in spring training. But I mean, just based off of his debut last season, I think that's definitely a guy who needs more time to develop. It's I think they're taking their time with him, and there is no rush to play him, and I think it also signals a vote of confidence in Langoliers as a starting catcher.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's a little hard to say what he is at this point, offensively or defensively. Um, I think that if Langoliers is forced to miss any kind of time, I would say Soderstrom would probably be seeing more major league innings than Carlos Perez at this point, but like just
Yeah.
simply for the reps. But I think he just needs more time to develop. I mean, he's not he's got the pedigree. He's certainly got a lot of that backing him up. But I think he just needs more time. But I
Yeah.
don't think anybody's going to question that Langoliers is the start of the season.
Definitely. No, it's a foregone conclusion. And on the point of Soderstrom, if it was purely a talent thing and the A's were looking to just have their two best catchers in the organization rostered to start the year, Soderstrom's the backup catcher. I think you and I agree.
Yeah.
But just because, of course, he's just not going to get the reps that he needs right now to develop, he's got to start the year in AAA. And it's not even a surface time manipulation thing or anything. It truly is Shea Langolier's job by all accounts. And we'll see maybe mid-year if Langolier struggles or really can't improve at all defensively. I mean, as a starting catcher in Major League Baseball, it doesn't really matter what you do. You got to be pretty good defensively. So we could even see Langolier down the line maybe get some looks in left or right field or something like that if he's really that bad defensively again. But I kind of do just hope from just some of the reports of him understanding that struggle and that you need to work on it. I hope to see some improvement.
No, absolutely. And I think, just going into this season, like Carlos Perez is definitely going to be like the backup catcher. I mean, he was steady, he wasn't anything overly exciting.
Poor defensively though for a backup.
Yeah.
Out of my backup catcher, I mean, Jeff Mathis made a career for however many years, a decade at least, as the worst hitter we've maybe ever seen in the modern era. But God, he was a wizard behind the plate, so he got his shot. And I find it much more valuable, and I can't be alone, to have a guy maybe hitting sub Mendoza line as the backup catcher if he can really lead a rotation, maybe be a late game defensive replacement at times, if you really need it. But at the very least, yeah, it's kind of like I don't really know. He's not great defensively, better than Langoliers, and he's not a great hitter, so truly a holdover for whoever the next guy in that spot's going to be.
He actually was the reigning champ of the A's Heart and Hustle Award from last season. So, I mean, clearly the team, sees something, I guess, with his heart and hustle. There's that.
Which is important.
Yeah,
I mean, very important to have clubhouse guys, especially on a team that doesn't project to be very good. It can get pretty drab at times as a hopeful 60-win team this year. So no, that stuff's important, and also of course what players like that win awards like that do for the community.
Yeah,
of course,
absolutely.
So, but let's move on to first base if you'd like.
Absolutely.
I want to talk some Noda.
Yeah, Ryan Noda. So do you want to start with him or?
I'll just say a couple quick things. I have one goal for Noda this year, and that's can he finish at least top 3 in total walks for the year, or can he at least be top 3 in walk percentage? And last year, for most of the year, he was around top 5, top 6, top 7 in just total walks across baseball until he got hurt. And I'm just curious now, in a lineup that isn't very good, can a guy potentially still have a hefty walk count? And of course, the lineup was worse last year, probably, hopefully, knock on wood. And so now with a slightly better lineup with Geloff there the entire year, who we'll get into protecting him behind him, I'm wondering, can Noda just kind of stand out as a league leader kind of in that way?
Definitely.
I'll kick it to you.
Yeah, do you think that, I would think that Noda even has a shot at being like the leadoff hitter again this season.
That's why I'm projecting.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, the power, the power is definitely there. He's, excellent walk rate. It seems like he struggles a bit against lefties. I think that was something that was that was kind of seen last season. So I'd like to see him improve against lefties this year.
Definitely, and as a lefty himself, that's just of course comes with the trade. And, but it does give me hope as a guy that commands the zone so well that there can definitely be improvement.
Yeah, his whiff percentage was again, I guess we'll see even with the better hitters on the team. He whiffed a bit last season, but again, with a player that young, you're hoping that you're gonna see improvement. He was actually the second percentile with his whiff percentage, which and strikeout percentage, which isn't great, not great.
Yeah.
But I think definitely the potential is better than the numbers indicate. But I mean, the guy's clearly a mainstay at first base. I mean, I don't think he's got anybody who's like seriously pushing him for the job right now. I mean, especially if you're the leadoff hitter for the A's, I wouldn't think that you're gonna have someone who's like pushing you for your job.
I mean, the only thing is, of course, Seth Brown has played a lot of first, and he'll get some times. Like, whenever Noda's sitting, you can pretty much expect Seth Brown to be over at first. But with where the outfield's at, and there's some options out there, but I think you can just pencil him in for left or right field.
The other thing with Seth Brown is,
I
think especially with the injury to Andahar, I think they were kind of hoping to have more of a platoon in the outfield with Seth Brown, but I think he's probably going to be seeing more time at outfield to start the season than initially expected. Excuse me. So second base, another exciting prospect, or not prospect, but full-fledged star for the team at this point.
He's still a prospect. Yeah, I was about to say star / prospect.
Zach Geloff. I mean, he's the brightest star in this young team. He enjoyed a season where he had over .840 OPS. He, again, whiffs a bit much, but it's a very exciting rookie season, and he's absolutely a weapon as a runner.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, kind of the brightest bulb on the shittiest tree,
right? Sometimes you don't have to be the best looking girl at the bar, but you got to be.
Exactly. Yeah. We could just go on for like a million metaphors there. Exactly. But no, he had a stellar, year last year. Something that's probably not sustainable. It was like 20 extra base hits in his first 30 games. And definitely, some home runs mixed in there too.
Yeah.
So definitely, like, for, the Oakland A's have a guy that could be an 850 plus OPS guy. And again, he was around that in the very small sample size, probably not sustainable.
Yeah.
But at least it's a cool goal for someone on the team. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a 137 OPS plus last season, which was
even better.
Yeah, it was highest on the team. He was slightly above Brent Rooker, who had a OPS plus of 130. But yeah, I mean the guy's a star. Like, he is the second base guy. Like, you don't like hitting towards the top of the lineup. That's a guy that needs to be seeing. He needs to be seeing the top of the lineup.
It's kind of a match made in heaven with him and Noda at the top, going lefty righty, having heavy walk on base guy first, and then Geloff, who's probably got the best at least raw power on the team. Absolutely. And with Geloff, unfortunately, the fact that he is a bit of an older prospect at this point, gotta look out, trade deadline. I mean, if the A's, it's gonna be a recurring theme on this podcast here, is warning people of good players getting traded from the A's. But yeah, no, Geloff, if he's got that 800 something OPS, good OPS plus, everything looks good. I just wouldn't be surprised at all if a team out there wants to overpay and maybe give a little bit too much. Maybe a few prospects, 2 top 30 prospects, one of which top 5 or something like that. It'll be interesting. And then if he struggles, everybody loses. So. Exactly.
The Braves they smell blood in the water again. It's they're searching.
Do we even need to like get anything back from the Braves at this point, considering we're pretty much just the farm team for the Braves? I think they can just call him up.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's just, it's like really incredible. Like in researching this team, it's just like really incredible seeing like how many of these guys like ended up like they were just parts of seemingly inconsequential Braves trades. I guess from the Braves' perspective, they're inconsequential pieces. But to the A's, it's like, oh, this guy's going to be like, a part of the bullpen, or, he's going to, end up being like a starter for the team. So, yeah. Do you want to do short?
Those trades have been a bit disappointing too, just because it's just they're not getting equal value back in pretty much all of those trades. And at this point, you have to wonder if there's enough due diligence being put into, I don't want to say scouting, but maybe into just the conception of those trades. Because again, you look, I mean, the main piece back in the Sean Murphy trade is Shea Langoliers, who, I mean, he's starting this year, but could very easily be a career DH or poor left fielder. And then you've got to essentially just get on your knees and hope that he becomes Kyle Schwarber, which, I mean, Kyle Schwarber's a very good hitter, so probably not. So
that's
yeah, it's a bit of a thing. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe the A's actually don't screw us the next time we inevitably trade with them.
Yeah.
But I will move on to shortstop here. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to take it from here?
Yeah. So Nick Allen had a season where I think it was a bit more of the same, where he has a potential to be, I think, if his bat really started connecting, he would be a lot more exciting of a player. And all indications are in the spring he is actually hitting really well. So, maybe this is finally the year that he turns it around. It's just, the defense is like solid. But it's just the bat. It's just that has been like the story of, the last couple seasons with him. He has only one option remaining, so you really have to wonder if the bat improvement is really now or never. But by all indications, it does seem that the spring is exciting, and hopefully the start of something new with him.
Yeah, and I mean, I think he's viewing it as now or never. Went to driveline hitting for the first time this past offseason. Plenty of players with success stories and not so much success stories have done the same. And it just shows just some initiative, I guess, to change things up, maybe some mechanical differences. People have pointed out that might know a bit more about, those subtle differences than I do, that there might be some changes. So, I really hope Nick Allen can just provide a little bit there, because if he can, what he can do with the glove at shortstop for a team that has some other suspect guys in the lineup, if he hits, you got to wonder, because he's hitting for a little bit of pop in spring training, and obviously the average is good, and you wonder if he's focused on maybe adding a bit more in either area, or if he's just kind of worked a little bit on everything and he just kind of wants to improve a little bit everywhere, which I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
I'm sure you wouldn't mind. But yeah, rightfully so with how he's playing in spring and who he's always been with the glove. Definitely the starting shortstop, and definitely going to probably remain there until midseason, in which there's a few guys weighing in the wings that, if they're playing well enough, could challenge him for it. But
yeah, I think he'll definitely start the season. I mean, I assume probably a player that's going to be towards the bottom of the hitting order.
Last in my projections,
like,
for sure.
Probably
Yeah.
like 8 or 9. I can't remember off the top of my head where he hit last season, but I believe
There's no real specific order. I mean, it
yeah,
always
I guess
kind of
depends on the day, but
Top was similar.
yeah.
We interrupt this podcast to bring you an important message. Hi, my name is Will McMahon. I'm a co-host of the Funnyball podcast and a 69% majority shareholder in the company. Sometimes as podcasters, we make mistakes. We state a statistical inaccuracy, have a difference of opinion that we don't necessarily mean in the moment. The point is, it's important that we own up to them. And right now, I'm owning up to the very silly things I said about Oakland A shortstop Nick Allen. I described his bat swing as geriatric, his defense as overly heroic, and also stating that he and I have played the same amount of college baseball.
And then at third base, it seemed like, I guess, up until about a week ago, it seemed like there was probably Toros to lose, but with the signing of J.D. Davis, that kind of came in, and that's a guy who's probably going to just be the day one starter at third base. I don't really see a scenario where you have somebody starting over him at this point. I think he was pretty much just brought in to be the guy at third base right now.
Yeah. I would like to think of J.D. Davis as and don't get me wrong, but kind of almost like a factory product. Like you're working on this thing that you're getting ready to sell eventually, and it's like you're kind of conceiving a product in a way. J.D. Davis, if he's playing anything like he's played when he's played well in the past, he'll be traded by the trade deadline.
Yeah,
and the A's, the worst kept secret, if it is a secret, with the A's and with J.D. Davis. So he's there. He knows he's probably gonna have a new home, but he wants to play well and play into a good contract going forward. And the A's just want to actually get something kind of in return for $1.2 million, kind of $1.2 million for a prospect that, of course, would have been difficult to trade for otherwise. So we'll see. And I just don't envision a situation in which J.D. Davis is a athletic to end the year.
Yeah, it's interesting. He's actually like, it's defensive run save actually hates him. But Statcast does like him. So I think even some of the stat databases are a bit like torn on him. But yeah, I agree with you. He's definitely a player who's probably trying to rehab his value ahead of free agency or even the trade deadline. And it's, all goes well. That is a win-win for the A's. You manage to buy a prospect with, $1.2 million. That's not bad. You'll take that if you're the A's. Absolutely.
Not a consistent thing either that always works out for certain guys, but I mean, if he plays well, he's gonna stand out. There's no getting lost in this lineup if you're playing well. So yeah, I mean, play well, get out of Oakland, and maybe get more money in free agency next year. And the A's just keep on accumulating lottery tickets in the farm system and just see if anyone can hit.
It's like it's like the Thunder with Oklahoma City Thunder with draft picks, except we're still collecting them. It's like we're still waiting to see the results, but we're I guess it's not really an apt description, but yeah, I just imagine
if Sam Presti wanted to become a GM in Major League Baseball, I bet you there's a team out there that would give him a job, and I bet you it's the team we're talking about.
It's Moneyball. Well, they remake Moneyball with Sam Presti as the GM of the A's.
He's just gonna leave his job to do a movie.
Yeah,
Moneyball 2.
Yeah, Moneyball 2. Yeah, the Presti experiment.
Exactly.
Yeah, Sam Presti.
But no, it's a good comp too of a team that's just going all out to kind of mortgage the present for the future, but doing it in a very effective way, in a no BS way. And the A's, they're trying. I mean, they've traded away every good player that's played here for the last 5-6 years. It's not like they're waiting. There's some teams that keep on waiting too long on guys and not selling them at their highest value or at all for that matter. A's can't be considered that team. They're just, whether it's luck, whether it's, scouting, talent in the front office, whatever it is, these trades aren't yielding much for them.
Yeah. With that, do you want to go to the outfield?
Let's do it.
Yeah. So, at least in their hitting lineup, it seems like the A's will probably be putting 4 outfielders out there, most likely Rooker at DH. But left field, I would think it's probably J.J. Bleday, right? Probably Bleday?
I've seen some recent reporting. I think it was a real mixed bag at the beginning of spring training of who would play where. And based on what people are saying, based on what the opening day roster looks to be, I actually think that Seth Brown's going to be out there in left.
Interesting. Okay.
Not confirmed. It mainly because I think Lawrence Butler is going to be actually the starting right fielder for the A's this year, at least to start the year. And he's played his last 3 games in right field, Lawrence Butler has, after kind of playing a lot more center fielder to start spring training. Seth Brown was playing a lot of first and right, and he's actually mixed in a bit more left recently. And Bleday's been playing primarily just center field the entire spring training. So if the outfield didn't kind of line up as Seth Brown in left, J.J. Bleday in center, and Lawrence Butler in right, I'd be pretty surprised at this point.
Which would even leave Esteury Ruiz as the odd man out, which I think would definitely catch the casual A's fan by surprise, especially.
He's maybe one of the 3 players that people that weren't A's fans or big baseball fans knew on the A's last year. Exactly. So it hurts a little bit. Yeah,
I think it's definitely once you start digging under the surface, that's like a very surprising development. Definitely. But
worth a shot though, with 2 of them being, or all 3 of them actually hitting lefty. Gotta get some lefties in the lineup one way or the other, right?
Right. I mean, you wish you were for the pitching, especially in light of all the injuries that they've been suffering there. I mean, if you're a lefty pitcher for the A's, your days are numbered at this point. It's just
exactly.
I mean, geez, who do they even have left?
The
guy
Yeah, no,
don't
it's
even know
tough. I was
that.
about to name a
Honestly
couple
don't.
guys, and I don't think they're starting the year with the team, so
No.
I don't even know. I mean, there's got to be a guy or two. Is Urseg a lefty?
Urseg, let me.
Actually, no, he's already. He's
I was
already, I
ready. Nope.
think.
So one of their
Yeah.
starters is a lefty. Well, Alex Wood, I think.
Oh no, Alex Wood.
Alex
Yeah,
Wood's a lefty,
yeah.
but I mean, like even besides,
Right.
like just yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is Sears? Sears is a lefty.
Sears is also a lefty.
Sears is
Yes,
also a
yes,
lefty.
that's true.
Okay.
No, it's just mainly the bullpen and just the
Yeah.
fact that pretty much most players, especially pitchers that have been getting hurt, have been lefties.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's too bad.
Yeah, I mean, can Waldachuk shut down? Scott Alexander probably going to start the year in IL. Sean Newcomb.
Hey, well, save it for the pitching episode.
Save it for the pitching episode? All right.
All right, save it for the pitching episode. Let's talk about Lawbutt. All right.
Lawbutt. You know,
I know you want to talk some Lawbutt.
I know I want to talk some Lawbutt. I have since cooled my hype on the Lawbutt train, but he is definitely going to be like seeing some serious time this year. So maybe it's not over yet. You know, like I think the Lawbutt hype train is still leaving the station.
I see. The last time you and I just like privately talked about Lawbutt, I feel like since then we've flipped, because back then you were really high and I was like, but now, I mean, not that I think he's gonna be great or anything. It's just he could be really bad for all we know. But the fact that he is a lefty in a lineup that's gonna need lefties, and he's gonna get a shot if he's playing well enough to actually be the number 3 hitter on this team. I think that's kind of a hot take of mine, just because. I mean, right now, you're kind of penciling Blade as the number 3 hitter if you've got Noda number 1 and Geloff 2. So I'm just a bit worried about that. And I think, well, if it's kind of, head to head, who's going to hit better, Butler or Blade? I don't know. I think that Butler, just based on us not knowing what he is quite yet at the major league level, and there being just enough stuff in the minors to say, hey, this guy can hit. I'm keeping my eyes on it at the very least. He's going to start the year maybe 8th in the lineup, 9th if it's not Nick Allen. But can he get up to be, that number 3 or 5 guy in the lineup? Maybe. We'll see.
Well, I mean, his bat, I mean, he saw about 40 games in the outfield last season. His bat wasn't overly exciting in the majors in that time, but he definitely showed a lot of good contact hitting potential in AA and AAA. I mean, it's, 0 errors in 40 games. I think any way he slices that is pretty good. You have to wonder, what's he going to look like in an expanded role. And you could even argue that he's probably one of the better outfield defenders at this point. I mean, you could. That's a stretch. But I mean,
I was going to say, it depends on the context. If we're talking about the A's, then maybe we'll see.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. It's like, if you're comparing it to, the other outfielders on the team right now, it's like, he's definitely exciting. I mean, I think I initially really got in the hype train because I think at one point in spring training he was just like just showing out. I mean, the dude was like 1.019 OPS, and I was like, oh, I'm in. I think it's cooled since then. It definitely has cooled since then. But he's like you said, especially if you're seeing a lot of innings at right field, I think he could be a guy that starts seeing time at the bottom of the lineup, and that's great. I mean, if he's starting to overtake a guy like Esteury Ruiz, then, which I guess it's not hard for your bat to be more exciting than his, but it's that's great. I think he he has a real shot at playing time this upcoming season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we'll see. Anyone that can kind of start in a major league starting lineup. I mean, most people that have made the majors have had great success at one point or another as a hitter in the minor leagues, and you just never know when a guy can kind of rediscover that or just bring it to start. I mean, plenty of guys kind of just unheralded prospects, never top 100, kind of just get called up and just continue to do what they were doing in the minors. So we'll see.
So I know we've been kind of beating around the bush a bit, but do you want to talk about Esteury Ruiz?
Let's talk about him for a sec.
Yeah, we could talk about him for a sec. I think
sure.
if you're like on the outside looking in at the A's, this dude's electric. He was second in the league in stealing bags last year, and he did it in. I mean, he did it in like several, like about 30 less games than most other players in the top 10 that year.
He was gonna lead the league in stolen
Yeah,
bases if he
and
didn't get hurt
and
and missing
it's
time.
that is awesome. He is brutal in his hitting metrics across the board. I mean, he is first percentile in exit velocity and hard hit percentage. I mean, he's fast, 98th percentile sprint speed, but like it's like at this point you wonder if like his also like his defensive run save is towards the bottom of the league. It's like, his range is all right. You think it would be better given his physical tools. I mean, he's young, he's still he's not like he's, like 30 years old at this point, so there's definitely like room for him to grow, but if it doesn't if a lot of that stuff like doesn't improve soon, you have to wonder, is he going to be just more like, the fourth outfielder and pinch runner, and you have to wonder like, what his ceiling is with that. Yeah, I'm not sure if you want to say anything else about Mr. Ruiz.
Sure, I mean, I'll just pipe in a little bit, but like, if you're not making the starting lineup for the Oakland A's this year, but you see yourself as an everyday starting major league player, you might have to make adjustments to your game, because Ruiz incredibly electric when he gets on base. It's like electricity in a snowstorm, works every once in a while. I feel like he's going to have to really either improve mightily in one area. It doesn't look like it's probably going to be pop, even though he has hit a home run in spring training and hasn't looked awful in that area per se. But I think more realistically, he's got to just provide some much better sabermetrics with the outfield play, or just has to walk a bit more. Like, something's got to improve a lot, because otherwise, I mean, JJ Bleday's going to, in all likelihood, start over him, and Bleday has not shown anything at the major league level other than the fact that he is a more than competent outfielder, center fielder, and has a little bit of potential in every area, just a little bit. Can maybe get a little bit better contact hitting with power, and of course in the field. But if that guy's the guy that's going to take your job here after starting last year, he can't just get a little bit better. He's got to really improve in several, if not then really improve in one area. So I'm a bit worried for Ruiz with kind of what's transpired here, and the fact that center field's not his job anymore, and obviously there's plenty of reasons for why that is.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I guess I know we touched on Bleday briefly, so I guess it kind of leaves us with Seth Brown, who saw a good amount of time at first base, and it sounds like he is probably going to be one of the starting outfielders at this point.
Yeah.
It doesn't appear that he's been, like a super strong defender at any point in his career, but I mean, he's been a steady veteran bat. He's an older member of the team. I almost wonder if when Andhar gets back, is he going to see kind of splitting a bit more time with him? I think Andhar was such an interesting signing for them, but now that he's going to be spending some time on the IL with a torn meniscus, so he's probably going to be out for a bit.
He's gone.
Yeah, that's a shame too. But
Shame.
yeah, but Seth Brown I think is still going to be like a steady part of the lineup just purely because of his bat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, he's actually in the past shown real flashes there, especially, I mean, I remember as a rookie, people were kind of talking about what can Seth Brown be, which he's not quite as much of a topic of conversation anymore. But I was looking, his metrics actually grade out a little bit better defensively with him in left versus right, and he's been playing a lot more right over the past couple years, which is interesting. And he's played enough left to make that not an empty stat, in my opinion. And yeah, the way it's setting up with Lawrence Butler playing so much right and Bleday playing so much center, and him playing a little more left now than he did at the beginning of spring training. Yeah, we're going to see him out there, I think, and see, I mean, when he's played left, again, his defensive metrics have actually graded out as average, which if Seth Brown can just grade out as kind of just average defensively, I mean, the A's will take that, especially if
Absolutely.
you can kind of improve the OPS and get it a little bit closer to the eights. And even if it's just 7.6, 7.7 with a 110 OPS plus or whatever, that is more than okay. That's something to celebrate, I think. So I definitely think that there's actually a little potential there based on maybe how people are valuing him right now. But
Yeah.
he can also get worse. I mean, every year he's been on a little bit of a decline with his hitting stats and metrics. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
I mean, he definitely had a bit of a down year last year. His OPS plus has actually dipped to 96 compared to 117 and 107 in the 2 years prior. But
Yeah.
definitely here's to hoping that he can recapture a bit of that this upcoming season. And that's the starting lineup. I think we got everybody right.
We went around the horn. That's the
Dude,
horn, man.
we did it. Yeah, that is the horn.
We did it.
We went around the horn.
I'm trying to think
A's,
if there's any. I know. I mean, and no one told us we had to do it. We just did this. That's crazy.
We did.
But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to look
guy,
here at some notes.
If you're really in the weeds, most of these names. A lot of these guys aren't going to be regarded as high caliber MLB players, but you know what? I think there's still reason to get excited about a good amount of them, and that's kind of what we do here. We're a glass half full and take the A's seriously kind of podcast. I think that's what we're about. Some say Nick Allen can't turn his bat around. Trevor says he can. Trevor says he's got a 100 OPS plus season in the books. Book it. You heard it here first. Maybe. Okay. Maybe not that. Okay. Maybe not that hyped. But
I'm not gonna say no because if it happens, I look like a genius.
oh yeah, exactly. So you know what? Like the spicier it is, let's roll with it.
Yeah.
I think the spiciest take we have in here is that Esther Ruiz is the fourth best outfielder on this team. And actually, no,
I don't know. I don't think that's
that's
not the hottest take.
Yeah.
It would have been if we said that 2 weeks ago. It definitely would have. I don't know, definitely, but it would have been a hotter take for sure. I think at least my hottest take, and you can disagree with me. I do think that Lawrence Butler has a chance to be hitting top 3 in this lineup by the end of the year, one way or the other. And that's not necessarily a lot to do with him, even though it has to do a fair bit with him. I do think that he can potentially hit, 760 OPS and, maybe a little bit of pop in there like he kind of did starting a couple years ago in the minors. But it's mainly just, situational and the fact that I don't know if I believe in JJ Bleday.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm still on the Law Bud hype train. I think that's still.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's go.
I think I'm still on it. I'm still on it. I will say it cooled, but I'm still there.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I've kind of put you on the Law Bud hype train. Law Bud.
Totally.
We're kind of we're stamping that right now. Just putting that out there. One person we actually forgot to mention. Not in the fielding lineup, but a DH, Brent Rooker.
Oh,
we didn't even I think we were approaching it from just purely the guys that are lining up in defense there, but Brent Rooker, another very exciting hitter for the team last season, coming off of his best season yet, named an All-Star, north of an 800 OPS in 137 games, really nice slugging metrics, hit power. He's one of the team's strongest hitters. He also never met a ball he didn't like. So there's that.
So true.
He whiffs like almost nobody else in the league. The dude is just in love with his swing. If this guy had Tony Kemp's plate discipline, he'd be an MVP candidate. But he's
seriously.
But he's probably the team's primary DH. You have to wonder if are you okay with putting him out there with some of the other outfielders if you really feel strongly about making someone else DH. I don't know if the DAs do. I think Rooker probably still makes the most sense as their DH, but you know what? He's still an exciting player, and I don't think he's really had a season where he's kind of coming into it really being assured of his spot, and this is kind of a nice change of pace for him that he's not fighting for a roster spot this year.
He's earned it. I mean,
Absolutely.
All-Star last year, like you mentioned, and 30-plus home runs kind of out of nowhere, seemingly, especially just to the baseball world. But also, like you said, the strikeouts. So with Rooker, kind of reminiscent of like a 2011 like Chris Davis. Like Chris Davis right before he kind of his boom hit the, high 40s home runs and kind of became the best version of Chris Davis before becoming the worst version very soon after. But kind of reminds me of a guy that, again, just of that mold, but helps your team at the end of the day. I mean, the average is in a pretty good place. Not that average is the, biggest stat ever anymore. But I mean, seeing a guy with his metrics from swing and miss as well as walking, you just don't expect a 240 batting average to follow, especially kind of in your rookie year. So yeah, I just wonder if maybe is he gonna I guess I should say, did he focus more on maybe cutting away some of the swing and miss from his game, or is it kind of just improving what he does well, which is, hey, I know I'm gonna strike out, but I want to hit more home runs, a higher average. I want to get in better shape, or whatever the case is. Can't complain about Rooker last year, and kind of something I'm looking for this year is can he like play the field a bit more, maybe? Because like obviously he's hitting warrants, an everyday DH spot on the A's as of right now. Should that be the case? But I mean, he's played a fair amount left and right field. I believe 8 games in spring training so far started. And that would just be a huge help for a team that's going to struggle defensively this year to be able to kind of mix and match and not always kind of feel committed to starting certain players like Ryan Noda, who's not great, or J.D. Davis, who's not great, every single day in the field. So we'll see there. And even if that doesn't pan out and he's kind of at DH more or less every day, that works too if the OPS is anything around 800, which is probably going to be a rare thing for this team this year.
Yeah, but Rooker should hopefully be at least one of the the bright spots for what could be a long offensive season for the A's. But yeah. Is there? I guess that is now we've hit everybody in around the horn, and the hitting lineup. Leadoff hitter for first game against the Guardians.
I actually think that the starting lineup is going to be today's starting lineup. We're recording on Monday, the 25th. I actually had to check that, as you could probably tell. And I think it's going to go Noda, Geloff, Blade, Rooker, Brown, Davis, Langoliers, Butler, Allen. And we'll see. But, of course, usually a team will end off spring training with either the opening day lineup or something very close to it. So if it's not that the A's are forecasting, it's going to be something very similar to that.
Yeah. I mean, that is pretty consistent with, how we've been, I think, what we've kind of picked apart from that. I don't think that, they're really trying to hide anything. I mean, like, their best hitters are, Noda, Geloff, and Rooker. I mean, that is kind of like, any way you slice it, that's who's probably going to find their way towards the top of the lineup. Right now.
Right
now. Until Nick Allen absolutely starts ripping it.
Yeah.
Law Butt and Nick Allen. This is the start of the Law Butt and Nick Allen I'm going to say redemption arc. But the hero
Nick
arc.
Allen, I guess.
For Nick Allen, it's a redemption arc. I think Law Butt's like the main character arc is the Law Butt arc.
I will say, I if you told me that's how the season ended with those two hitting a fair bit higher, especially Butler in the lineup,
that would be
I'd believe
cool.
it. I think there's actual like tenable ceilings there that are pretty cool. But with that being said, I think the floors for both of them are really low as well.
Right, but
Nick Allen, we kind of have an idea of what that looks like. Butler, we'll find out if it should happen.
But the thing is with the A's is like, you just, a lot of these guys get a longer leash than they would on any other major league team. It's just, they got to just try stuff out, develop guys. It's honestly a great place to, rack up reps. I mean, you're not going to be on a great team, but you're sure as heck going to get a lot of reps, and, that's got to count for something. Is
Definitely,
there,
for sure.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to cover before before we cut it?
I think I'm all set.
Yeah, I think I'm all set
you got
too.
anything else that you were?
No, I'm just itching to get to the pitcher episode. I know I got a little excited earlier, but
I know.
I know there's a lot to talk about with that too, especially after the season that they have. But I want to just thank everyone and all of you out there who are finally at the end of this and listening to this. We got a lot to cover this year with the A's. Where the heck are they going to play after this season? We don't know as of this recording. Can they even crack 60 wins? And how are these young guys going to look? I mean, I think we've given hopefully a good amount of excitement for a lot of these young guys. So I guess the proof will hopefully be in the pudding this upcoming season. I think I used that correctly. I think I did. I'm sticking with it. But all that and more is going to be covered this season in a fateful march towards the end of September. And if we're really, really, really lucky, the month that comes after that, and I'm not even going to say the name of it because I don't want to should I say it? Should I put that out there?
I just mouthed this.
Okay, all right, cool. All right. That's good enough. I think that's a good compromise.
All right.
We're so glad that you're all here to join us as we subject ourselves to a season of the Oakland A's. We're not punching down, because together we are inviting you to join us and see the A's either win with the true power of friendship or crash and burn and play a level of baseball that will attempt to crush the indomitable human spirit.
Either way, I think it's gonna be pretty funny to watch.
It's gonna be awesome, and I think I'm just so excited to embark on that this season. We are, as of this recording, I cannot do math. So we're not counting today, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We are 3 days away from opening day against the Guardians. I believe it's at home at the Coliseum around 10 o'clock-ish, 10:10 Eastern Standard Time. I believe it's a 4-game series, and I'm very excited. Do you have anything you want to say? Before we wrap it up?
I guess just go Nick Allen.
Go Nick Allen.
Get off to a hot start.
Nick Allen. Yeah, we'll give a shout out to Nick Allen. That's what we're about here.
I'm gonna end 1/3 of the episodes with a shout out to Nick Allen, if you're okay with that.
Absolutely. So I think if we end this where Nick Allen is a 33.33333% shareholder in the podcast, when all is said and done, then we've done pretty good. I also want to give a huge shout out to, obviously to all of you who have made it this far to the end of our first episode, for being here with us and getting in on the ground floor of what I hope is going to be a very fun A's
tall
season.
building.
I want to give a huge shout out to my amazingly talented sister Kelly, who has designed our wonderful wallpaper and logos. She has just been an amazing creative force for us, and also just a really nice, really amazing voice of encouragement, I think, for the pod and for both of us. So, Kelly, I want to thank you. You're amazing. You're killing it. Keep doing what you're doing. And
the best.
Yeah. And Trevor, I want to thank you for kind of conceiving this idea and kind of really helping bring it to fruition. It's been really nice to have somebody to create something with, and I'm really excited that we're actually putting a product out there now. It's a lot of work that goes into the research behind this, and I'm just really excited to go on this journey with you. So thank you for conceiving the idea.
Yeah, I want to thank you very quickly for agreeing to watch the A's with me for at least a season. I mean, ideally, and also in all likelihood, we're going to be watching the A's for the rest of our lives. So I'd like to thank you for taking on that burden.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to get going with it.
Yeah, it's going to be, man, it's, I don't think there's anybody, else I would be, talking ball about the Oakland A's with. I think that you're probably the only person who would be crazy enough to talk about the Oakland A's for, many, many episodes to come. I think we're two people I think we're perfect for this. I really do. And this is going to be a very interesting season, but we'll see how it goes. 60 wins.
Yeah.
Nick Allen hitting some kind of mark that's impressive.
Maybe.
And Lawbutt.
Playing good defense.
Lawbutt cracking fifth in the hitting line, cracking the 5 hole by the end of the season.
I hope so, man. I do hope that he plays well enough to move up the order and to get a little bit of recognition because, yeah, I mean, just solid player.
Lord knows we need some. We need some.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really all we need is a bit of hope, you know. Rebellions.
Exactly. We'll end it there. All we need is a little bit.
All we need is a little bit of hope. Rebellions are built on hope. I want to thank all of you once again for listening to our inaugural episode of Funnyball, and with that, we'll see you all next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.